By the time you were 5 years old, most of who you are was already decided. Not your job, not your opinions, not your taste in music, but the deeper stuff. How you love, how you fight, how you hide, how you trust. That was already written, and you weren't even conscious yet. Think about this for a second. You don't remember learning to be afraid of conflict. You just are. You don't remember deciding that you need to be useful to be loved. You just feel it every day, like gravity. You don't remember the moment you learned that crying gets ignored, so you stopped. Or that crying gets attention, so you do it more. Or that anger works. Or that silence is safer. You didn't choose any of this. You absorbed it. Somewhere between age 0 and 7, your brain was recording everything. Every tone of voice, every time someone left the room, every time you were held or weren't, every time you were praised or punished. And it built an operating system out of it. And then, it handed you the controls. Except by then, you'd already forgotten there was ever a manual. Here's the part that messes with people. Your brain before age 7 is mostly running on something called implicit memory. Not the kind you can describe in words. The kind you can't access, only feel. You can't remember most of what happened to you before age 4. Almost nobody can. Scientists call this childhood amnesia. But here's the twist. The events disappear, but the conclusions stay. You forget the specific day your parent yelled at you for spilling juice, but the belief that formed in that moment. I'm clumsy. I make people angry. I need to be careful. That belief doesn't disappear. It just loses its source. It becomes invisible. It stops feeling like a memory and starts feeling like a personality. So now, 30 years later, you're not thinking I learned this. You're thinking this is just who I am. That's the trick. The lesson erases itself but leaves the conclusion behind, dressed up as identity. This is why people can spend years in therapy circling something and then suddenly hit a memory. A smell, a room, a sentence someone said. And the adult in their 30s starts crying like the 5-year-old they were, because the feeling never grew up. It just got buried under decades of adult behavior. You think you're reacting to your boss, your partner, your friend. A lot of the time, you're reacting to someone from 1998 who isn't even in the room. But here's where it gets stranger. You didn't just learn how to feel. You learned what felt normal. If chaos was normal, calm feels suspicious. If silence was normal, intimacy feels like a threat. If criticism was normal, kindness feels confusing, almost like you don't trust it. Your nervous system isn't built to seek out what's good for you. It's built to seek out what's familiar. And as a kid, you couldn't tell the difference between this is safe and this is what I know. Those got fused together before you had the language to separate them. So as an adult, you don't necessarily chase happiness. You chase familiarity, and you call it love or comfort or chemistry. That's why some people keep ending up in the same relationship with different faces. Not because they're unlucky, because some part of them is still trying to recreate a 5-year-old's idea of home, even when home was something they should have outgrown wanting. And here's the part almost nobody says out loud. You can know all of this. You can read every book, watch every video, understand the psychology perfectly, and your body still reacts the old way anyway. Because insight lives in the part of your brain that talks. The wound lives in the part of your brain that doesn't. You can explain your pattern in a single, articulate sentence and still feel your hands shake the next time it shows up. That's not a failure. That's just where the information got stored. So when you ask yourself, why do I keep doing this? You're asking the wrong person. You're asking the adult. But the adult wasn't there when the decision was made. A much younger version of you, one who couldn't even talk yet, made 1,000 silent decisions about what's safe, what's love, what's dangerous, what you're worth, and then handed you a fully formed personality before you ever got a vote. You didn't choose who you became. You just woke up one day, already them. And maybe the real work of being an adult isn't becoming someone new. It's going back, quietly, and finally meeting the one who decided for you. You didn't build your personality. You inherited it. from a version of you who never got to grow up.